So if you follow any Ukrainians or you follow any of the news coming from Ukraine right now, it is very bad. And I will say this: you saw Zelensky's speech yesterday, where he basically openly went, "Look, Trump is sitting in this massive disinformation bubble, and it is affecting his decision-making processes, basically." And Zelensky basically said what I think everyone in the world, I think, should be saying. Everyone knows it's true. His own inner circle knows it's true. But from the last Trump presidency, what used to happen was Trump would go off and say crazy thing, and then we would come in and not talk to Trump. We would talk to the people around Trump because they were then able to talk him down. They were the adults in the room. However, as I certainly do fear this time, you look at all the quote supposed adults this time. Yeah, they're anything but adults. And when we have to rely on someone like Marco Rubio, America's foreign policy, guru, how are we going to have to, talk to him? Is he really going to be able to be the Trump whisperer? Is he really going to be able to have any actual influence, considering how much and how badly Trump used to go after Marco Rubio back in the day, and now he's bent the knee to him? How long will Republicans be willing to bend the knee to Trump on a lot of this stuff? Because he's already trying to futz up their budget spending bill from, remember, the stuff that happened last time. So next month, when, again, this bill comes up, this could get, once again, a little bit dicey, and even cause a massive government shutdown, as you see the MAGA and the, quote, sane Republicans go to war over this in literally a month's time. It is going to be something to watch, that's for sure. How paralyzing it will be, I think it could be quite paralyzing indeed, but it will be massively embarrassing, not only for Trump, but also the Republican Party. And they will just look very, very bad. And we can only hope that the Democrats do very well in the midterms and that they can once again make Trump a lame duck president by the time that they get there. It is very, very, very bad, but we are hoping for a lot of things on this. However, I do want to go over to have a look at something else today. I want to look at some highlights from some Ukrainians, because they were asked in The Guardian, what do you think to all this? What's your opinion about this? And their opinion is what exactly we've been warning about for quite some time. Why on earth is the USA trusting Russia? Because I can guarantee you this: Putin will betray Trump and the USA and whatever deal they sign instantly. There is no reason to trust Russia. Russia has never kept any of its promises. It has not kept the Budapest Memorandum. It has not kept Minsk 1. It has not kept Minsk 2. It has not kept any of its promises. And that's just Ukraine. That doesn't include stuff like Chechnya or even Georgia. So, yeah. It's what is the saying now? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, all I can say is I can only hope that Putin betrays Trump like really, really quickly, and maybe Trump realizes he's been had and then decides to back Ukraine instead. I can only hope that happens. How quickly that may happen, I don't know, but that's at least a secret hope I do harbor for that. However, I do want to go over these Ukrainians that were talked to in The Guardian about this, because I think they get it 100% right on this. But before we do that, please do remember to click like, share, and of course the subscribe button down below. There's the Patreon page, the Buy Me Coffee link where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So let's crack on then into this. So Let's see what they had to say, because they had to talk with some Ukrainians on this. This is what they had to say. Ukrainians do not have the luxury of falling into despair. Ola Unic said, and she is a professor at Manchester University. So what did she say when she said about this? So here we are. Yeah. So she said this is an existential question now of the survival of a homeland. This is not a simple thing that tomorrow someone agrees and then it's done. She said the Ukrainians will not be willing to give up their territory, and they would potentially go against the government. And that is not simply in a future referendum, that is also now in the streets. On top of that, this is a population that is traumatized and also equipped with arms. So the potential now to destabilize the country even further and the region is something great. If something now were to be imposed upon them, so that is something that we have to consider in this. That you've got many Ukrainians who are saying, if this gets imposed on us, why are we going to follow it? Why are we going to give up this territory? Now, if there is, and we already know behind the lines in some of these occupied territories, there are already resistance movements like acting against Russia in saboteur operations, in even assassination attempts. So that ain't going to stop anytime soon. They could find themselves with, an IRA situation where, if they play this right, and it will be a long game to play, they can just make this taken territory just cost so much to keep, to patrol, whatever, that it's just not worth it. That it is just not worth keeping and holding on to this territory. At least we can hope that. But it will be a long game for the Ukrainians to play on that. A long game on that. So they asked someone else who said this. Another guy said this. You always can just feel it. The people who have left, they feel this guilt. It's like they can never be good as the people who have stayed. So there will always be that guilt. It doesn't really end anywhere. Every Ukrainian will tell you. If they can't tell you that, it's because they were killed and they can no longer speak. Everyone feels like that. They're not doing. It's like they're not doing enough. The guy who they spoke to is a trustee at British Ukrainian Aid. He described fleeing Ukraine now as a complete betrayal by Trump and remarks on the position of Ukraine. He said it's very frustrating to hear now such nonsense, that we don't have a right to defend ourselves. It is terror. It is a genocide. Any agreement signed with Russia is just a piece of toilet paper. When has Russia ever kept its promises? Ukraine now is the front line of Europe. Peter Urko, another chair of the Association of Ukrainians Great Britain, said, even though we know what it's like from previous experiences, we are still massively shocked how Trump has now approached this and how it is just now railroading now into a peace agreement through any cost, no matter what. Ukraine is the victim here. We do want peace. We all want peace, but not at any cost. And then someone else said this as well, about the diaspora that is probably going to get even more after this. I can guarantee you now there is going to be a big population move. If this gets enforced, there are a lot of Ukrainians who are just going to leave Ukraine. But I can just guarantee you now, because a lot of them are going to say, what future do we have in this country? We are terrified if what happens if Russia comes again, if there's no security guarantees. Why stay in a country where I know it is likely this in 10 years we could be fighting this again? You know, I can guarantee you now there is going to be a big diaspora from Ukraine to certainly other parts of Europe, and we should absolutely be welcoming these people for that. And I think we have to have very, very wide open arms for them on this. So, large population of the Ukrainian diaspora in the United States who are American citizens, maybe for generations, did support, of course, the Republican Party and Trump because they were now expecting a harder stance, he said. If Putin is not stopped in Ukraine, he goes further and then he destabilizes the rest of the European continent. And that will come to the United Kingdom in one way or another. This is what I've been telling people all this time. If you do not stop Putin there, one way or another, this will affect the United Kingdom. You know, Europe is our backyard. What happens in Europe, we should care about. And Ukraine is in Europe, it is in our backyard. We should care very, very much so about this because one way or another, Russia has shown it is not afraid to interfere in stuff, be it, through, social media campaigns, even, throwing its military weight around. We should be worried about that. Very worried. So, in this, of course, fast unfolding situation, however, the UK support has been a very significant comfort for many Ukrainians. Others dallied and others dithered slightly. Britain stood up, all parties, all politicians, and stood behind Ukraine. So did the people of the United Kingdom, rather said. We will be ever for grateful for that, and we are pleased to hear the positivity now of the current Prime Minister and the government on their now continued support and stance with Ukraine. And I keep on saying I think Starmer's stance on Ukraine is very good. I think he's come out in the past couple of days and said very, very good and reassuring things on this. And I think now we really need to be considering, our position as a country in Europe, and that really goes back to the Brexit question that has to be now reopened. Like we can't avoid it. We literally cannot avoid this question. We are as Europe as much as any other country in Europe. We are as much as European as the Ukrainians are. We should be part of Europe. We should be now saying, yeah, Europe, America's not the ally we once really considered. It's considered it now. We should be joining with our allies, and our allies now are very clearly in Europe. Hurricane Trump is proving that again and again. And I don't think if we did do a campaign, I don't think I don't know what you would call it. What would you call it now? A rejoin referendum? Do we rejoin, Europe? Do we, seek membership? Do we immediately go for single market and customs union and then pursue full membership as well at the same time? Big questions in and around that, but we've talked about that before. But yeah, it is very, very clear. I don't know what the other side would stand on. Oh, Brexit's going swimmingly. You just bring up all the conversations, everything they had about how the world is going to be this free market fundamentalist paradise and how it has not gone that way at all. Yeah. I think that the European question needs to be revisited now, and I think it needs to be pushed. I think someone in Labour is going to have to, be the first over the top, and it's who is the first person over the top who starts arguing for this. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I think now, really, over the next couple of weeks, you're going to have to see the UK reevaluate its foreign policy position and where its allies really are, because they ain't in America anymore. So, as always, let me know what you think. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.